Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Caro, and on these videos I like to talk about cross stitch. And today we have a very exciting video. It's gonna be my WIP Parade. WIP stands for Works in Progress. I'm gonna be telling you all about the projects I'm working on currently and tell you a bit about the stats, how many stitches I did and stuff, and how much I started with. We're gonna be seeing a few before shots, but most of my projects are new starts from the year 2025. But yes, welcome back if you've been here before, and a very warm welcome if this is the first time you stumbled upon my channel. I know these WIP parades are always cool videos to find new channels. I myself found a few new channels to follow this WIP Parade season. But yeah, just a short introduction. My name is Caro. I live in Germany together with my husband and I have 2 kids. My son is 3 years old and my daughter is 6 years old, so we still have quite a busy, colorful afternoon. So most of my stitching I get done at night once the kids are in bed. During the day, I work as an environmental engineer, so I like doing nerdy things, which also feeds into my hobbies. If you are a returning viewer, you will probably know that already. I tend to go down nerdy rabbit holes all surrounding my craft. I like to change my charts and chart things myself, and so yeah, you'll be seeing that with me showing you my projects. But yeah, I don't think there is that much more you need to know. I guess you also should know I'm a fairly new stitcher, and I think the past 2 years I've been kind of finding a little bit what I like to stitch. And yeah, I would consider myself mainly a full coverage stitcher, but I do have a fair amount of non-full coverage in my pile as well, which I do enjoy stitching on every now and then as well, because they're nice travel projects and it is quite enjoyable to have a finish every once in a blue moon. So yes, but most of what I work on, and that's what you're gonna see in the order of the projects I'll be showing you, because I'm gonna be starting with the projects I worked on most and will end with the project I put in the least amount of stitches. Some of those projects are at the end because they're very recent new starts, but generally you'll get a good idea of what I am drawn to most and where I put most of my stitching time into. But yes, I think that is all off the top of the episode. So let's just get started with some statistics, shall we? Just some very general statistics of the year 2025. Okay, well, if you see me looking over to my left, that's where my screen is with all my projects and all the information I would like to share with you guys. So I'll probably forget things. I try to mention everything, but I usually also have like a little box down in the screen where I put all the information to the project, like designer and fabric and the floss I use with it. So if I forget, you'll find it there. And if I, for some reason, forget to put that box as well, then just send me a comment down below, and then you can just ask me and I'll give you that information. So yes, so let's talk stats, right? So I started the year 2025 with 5 works in progress, which I was surprised by. I thought I had more projects going on when I started the year, and I remember I put together a WIP Go board actually with the intention of bringing my total WIP count up to 25 by the end of the year. I did not succeed. I am sitting at 16 active WIPs right now, but I started at 13, which means I also had 2 finishes. I won't be showing my 2 finishes here because I've already shown them off in my mid-year WIP parade. So if you're curious in seeing that, you can just go back to my mid-year WIP parade. I show them right at the beginning of that. But yeah, we're just going to be looking at all my works in progress that I have remaining, which are 16. And as I said before, I sorted them from worked on most to worked on least. The total amount of stitches actually I stitched in the past year has been 110,000 stitches, which makes me super happy. I At some point during the year, I guess at a point where I thought it might be possible, I was aiming to hit 100,000 stitches in a year. I didn't really know what I could do because this is the first full year of me tracking my stitches. I started stitching in the year 2024, or like that's when I seriously got into that rabbit hole, and basically everything else that I used to do fell to the wayside. So I guess next year I'm going to be aiming for 120,000 stitches. We'll see if I get there, because in the end I don't really have too much power over that because my kids rule most of my free time, unfortunately. Sometimes I manage to stitch while they're awake, but not too often, because then my son comes up and wants to sit in my lap and things, and then it's just not good to stitch. But let's start with the WIPs, shall we? So yes, the WIP I worked on the most in this year, and I guess it's more the WIP that I put in the most stitches, because I also see the number of days I worked on this piece, and I actually have one where I worked on more. But I put in 17,962 stitches into my Lara piece, or Tomb Raider, however you want to call it. This is one I tend to put in, actually. Maybe you can just see it like this. The glare isn't too bad. So this is one I charted myself. I created the artwork, putting together the 3 cover images of the latest Tomb Raider games, and then I put them through my charting software. I started this project on February 15th in 2025, so this is a new start of the year, and I won't have a before shot, and this is all I put in this year. And I'm really enjoying this project. I'm stitching this on 25 count 2/110 with a mix of DMC and CXC floss. And yeah, as you can see, I started in the top right corner, which is where I like to start most of my projects. And I was just working on this gradient. And I think the gradient is the main reason why this project is at the top of the list, because progress is super, super fast. I remember I had a day where I put nearly 1,000 stitches in. Because you can just grab one of those colors and just fill out the gradient, especially because when I started stitching this, I would always skip one color, and then eventually that color you can just fill in. Like, you don't need to count, you can just do fill in. It's basically block stitching, but a little bit more interesting. But yeah, really, really like this. By the way, I ironed everything, but only quickly. So you'll see some hoop marks still. And this is basically the size of the entire fabric. I don't really see anything, just a shade through, but I have a long way to go. I'm sitting at 6.3% right now. But yes, I don't really park threads, but I was reaching the edge of my hoop, so that's why I left those hanging threads. But generally speaking, I don't vibe with parking that much. But yeah, this is my first project, and I'm really enjoying it. Definitely gonna keep it going. So you plan everything out, and then you're like, where do I put all my projects once I'm done talking with them? But I'm just gonna put them to my left. The next project is my favorite for sure. It's been the project of the year, I think. It's been also a new start in 2025. I started this on March 22nd. Of this past year, which happens to be my birthday. It was my birthday start, and I started this one together with Anna from The Alchemist Stitcher. It is this piece. So this piece is called Pumpkin Spice Cottage. The artwork is by Kate Brazier, and the kit I purchased from Gecko Rouge, who charted this, and I really, really love this. We both started in the bottom. I started in the bottom right, and Anna started in the bottom left, because we just loved the colorful plant area down here. It's definitely a very fun, but also very confetti heavy. But let me show you. So I reached 10.5% on this piece, and this is where I'm at. And I love it so much. Anybody who's been following me for any length of time will know that my favorite color is blue. So a lot of my projects are very, very blue, or the majority of the colors are anyways, but I like a contrast with orange or pink. Yes, so this is where we are. So I started down here and I'm working page by page, basically up. And then my goal was to reach these pumpkins by the fall, which I did and completed. And because I'm so lazy moving the hoop, I actually started to work back down here. But I'm actually considering maybe moving up now because I did take it out of the hoop to show you guys, just kind of to get an idea how big the piece eventually will be. So I have some ways to go on this one as well, but really, really loving this. And despite the confetti in here, I enjoy stitching on it. Did I even tell you how many stitches I did? I don't think so. I put in 16,851 stitches. And I stitched this one on 25 count as well, but I'm doing 1/1 full cross. I actually stitched 69 days on this, and on my 2-meter piece, which you've seen before, I've stitched less than half, 31 days. So this is definitely much slower progress because it is full cross and it is a ton of confetti in here, but the result is just so nice, and I don't find it aggravating to stitch at all. Like, it is confetti, but you don't change your colors a million times. There's of course a few where you only have like 7 stitches to do and then you put the thread away, but most stitches you can take the thread quite far. But be careful that you don't miscount. There's definitely a few miscounts in this one. Of course, my card was full, so I had to offload some footage, and now let's continue with the WIP Parade. So the next project I want to show you is actually my oldest project. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of this piece in the following months, if you decide to follow me, of course, because I made this piece my focus of the year, and we'll see how I fare. But this project I call Amazing Loon because I based it off a chart that I purchased from Heaven and Earth Design called Amazing Grace. I'm going to put in a picture of how that one looked. And I was really, really drawn to the watercolor background. It's blue. Of course, I love blue. But I wasn't a huge fan of the swan. So I actually decided to remove the swan from the image and put in a loon instead because my husband is actually Canadian. And the loon is a bird that we came across a lot in Canada when I used to live there. So it just gives me great memories. And yeah, so I really like that bird. I actually also then drew this shadow figure here, which I also charted. And yeah, the total size is actually much smaller than the Heaven and Earth Designs chart. Do I have the size here? No, but it has a total stitch count of 82,000. Roughly 700 stitches, and I think the Heaven and Earth Design is over 100,000 for sure. So yeah, and what I did with this one is I actually charted the background at a coarser resolution than the loon. So there's 4 stitches in the loon for every 1 stitch in the background. You'll see on the actual piece. So let me show that to you. I started this piece on February 20th. In 2024. So actually here is how this project looked like at the beginning of the year. And this is what it looks like now. So I was actually really, really happy seeing this piece in third place on the list because I didn't think I worked as much on this piece as I apparently did. Because I put in 16,703 stitches, so only 100 stitches less than I put on my pumpkin spice, which is awesome. And as you can see, I'm done with all the black in the loon, so you can really see the feathers. And now I just need to fill in all the confetti. So what I'm doing is I stitch the background, and maybe let's just zoom in a little bit. I stitched the background 1/1 full cross on 28 count, and then the loon I stitch petite stitches, so to speak. 2/1 10 stitch. And that's how I started this piece. Realized I don't like the 2/1 10 stitch on 28 count, at least with high confetti, as it is in the Loon for sure. So moving forward, I'm going to switch to 1/1 full cross in the Loon as well. So this will turn into entire full cross project. And yeah, I really like this. I really love the colors, obviously. And hope to get this probably not done, but a decent jump in progress and set it up hopefully to be done then in 2027. Yay! I started the year at 15% and I added basically 20% this year. So I'm sitting at 35.6% right now. And I think that's all the info I meant to share. I hope so. I'm so sorry. I always need a few minutes to kind of get into talking about my projects. It's always a little awkward in the beginning. But I am very excited about the next piece as well. And this is another one that I tinkered with I totally created that one from scratch. And this is my Witcher piece. So this is what the final image will look like. And this is an image that I photoshopped together myself. I basically used as a background the front cover of a board game that kind of came out of the Witcher franchise called Old World. And then I took the three main characters, Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer, and kind of Photoshop them into that image. And I really love it. And then I charted it, obviously. And this is actually my first project that I'm stitching on 32 count 1/1 a tent. And it was a new start as well. I started this on May 4th. And here's where I'm at. And he is so gorgeous. Who doesn't love Henry Cavill? I'm really happy how this one is coming out. I started the chart in the middle because I actually left myself crazy tiny margins. So I really hope this will all work out well, but I guess I'll have to sew in some extra fabric. This is what the entire piece looks like. And yeah, starting in the middle meant that I started super close to his face. So that's where I went, because I did chart it myself and the face is always a bit of a critical point. So I was curious to see how that turned up. This got a ton of work during the Great British Bake Off that I stitched along with. It's a game that Jessie Marie from Jessie Does Stuff created. Highly recommend, really enjoyed this. Yes, but again, it was a new start, so no before picture. But I'm sitting at 2.6%. This is my largest piece. It has a total of 369 stitches. No, actually 370,000 nearly. So yes, and I did 9,705 stitches on this year, which is decent progress. And I was working my way that way. But yes, progress is quite slow on this. It was quite heavy confetti in the face, plus the light colors. But yeah, I'm happy I'm out of there now. There is a bit more crazy confetti coming here off his shoulder because there's all the chainmail with like a ton of highlights and darks. But after that, I hope there's going to be quieter areas of this stuff. So I'm kind of just planning to make my way to one edge now to see how my margins are and then maybe work my way back this way or something. I don't know. We'll see. This is far away progress we're talking here because this project is huge. Oh yeah, and I'm stitching this with CXC, by the way, because I'm doing the 32-101 tent, which can be quite sparse with DMC, but if you stitch with CXC, I think the coverage is quite nice, as you've just seen. And the next project, I think it was actually the next one I started. I don't know. I don't have it sorted that way right now, but it is definitely the next one I started on 32 count 1/1 10 stitch is a Heaven and Earth Designs chart called Kakomu, and the artist is Margaret Morales. And I really, really love this artwork. Much more bright blue and sky blue than my usual blue love, but nonetheless, I do love it. And actually stitching, I realized that there's also a ton of green in here. And yeah, this is where I'm at. I started this July 10th of this past year. So again, a new start, top right corner, as I like to do. And I put in 8,905 stitches, putting me at 3.7%. Yay. Not much else to say. This is a chart that I did not change at all. Yay. Okay, the next project is actually another one that I started in 2024. This was, technically speaking, my leap year sal start. The leap year long dog sampler start, or I don't know what the hashtag is. I never really used it because I'm terrible at posting on Instagram. But I didn't start it that day anyways because I wasn't ready, because I dyed my fabric and my floss for it. But the chart I'm talking about is Ragnarok by Long Dog Samplers. Does it focus? There we go. And I really, really like this chart. It's like Norse mythology, basically. As the name suggests, Ragnarok. And yeah. I am stitching this. What am I stitching this on? I'm never sure with this one. It just says coffee dyed. Hang on. Let me click on it. Okay, short interruption. My daughter just poked in her head. Okay, so yeah, I'm stitching this one on a 36 count linen and that I dyed myself using tea and coffee and iron, and I really like the finished result here. Let me show you from far. I think it looks really like old oak, which I imagine this one being chiseled on if it were back in the day. And yeah, I'm using silk for this, which I also hand dyed with indigo. And this is where I'm at right now. Maybe I get the before shot in here at the same time. I added, where is that number now? 8,401 stitches on this, which is actually pretty good. So now I am at 15.8% on this piece, and I started the year at only 1.66%. So most of this project I did this year. So that is great. So maybe I can catch up, because right now I'm not very projected to be finishing this in time for the next leap day, but there's always hope. Maybe one year the urge really strikes me to stitch more on this project. I do enjoy it. I like pulling it out every now and then, but as you would have heard on my last episode, I started playing the Milestone Manor game, again by Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and I had to put in nearly 3,000 stitches on this, and that was hard work. I think my limit is like 1,000 stitches on that project, and then I kind of need to change. But the things you do for your games, for your cross-stitch games. But yeah, the next one, actually, I was quite surprised by the amount of stitches I did on this project, because I didn't think I did that much this year, but I guess I did. But it is another one of my older starts. It might be my second oldest one. I'm not quite sure. But I started this one October 8th, 2024. No, my Ragnarok is the second oldest one. So this one is the third oldest one, actually. And this is my winter piece. So this is a chart I got off of Etsy from a shop called Pax Closet. I have another one of hers in my WIP pile, and I really was just drawn to the colors mainly. I keep saying that I probably won't be putting this image up on my wall. I'm also not too drawn to it, but I want to continue stitching on this because, yeah, I just love the colors a lot. and I'm not at the point where I'm seriously considering UFOing this one, but if I were to UFO any project, probably this one would be on the chopping block. But I do like it. I do like it. And I am not ready to let it go. And this is where we're at. I also put in the before from the beginning of the year. As I said, I added 7,978 stitches to this project, and I started the year at 2.2%, and I am now at 6.4%. I'm stitching this 2/1 tent on 25 count as well. Most of my projects are on 25 count. I definitely like that. I do prefer stitching 1/1 full cross on it now. And I guess the other one I really like is the 32 count 1/1 tent. I just prefer stitching one stranded. I think that's what it comes down to, which is why I like the 1/1 full cross on the 25 count so much. But yeah, I think that's all I need to say here. Did I forget anything? No. The next one is actually the one that is closest to a finish. So I really hope I get this done kind of earlier in the year coming, because this is a new start as well. I started this one on June 2nd. This was actually one that I do remember at least starting according to my WIP goal polls. I stopped doing them, following them already in like February, where I started kind of not following the WIP goals, but I kept kind of looking at the numbers and then just picking and choosing the prompts, I guess, that I did and I didn't. And this one was one that I wanted to do. This was one of my earlier charts that I purchased, and this one is called Adjust Your Sails from Little Dove Designs, again an Etsy store. This is a non-full coverage, as you can see, and the saying on it is life isn't about waiting for the winds to change, it's about learning to adjust your sails. And I would like to put this one up eventually in our lake house where our sailboat is sitting. So I feel like that fits definitely the vibe. And yes, I was working a lot on it during our summer vacation. That's when I started this, or just before, I think. And this is where we're at right now. So this piece is sitting at 75.7%. It's seen a lot of progress in November, actually. Oh no, that was December. It was a weekend where I was on a weekend trip and I had like a very long train ride, so I worked a lot on this piece. And yeah, I did a stash conversion with this piece. I'm using a lot of my anchor floss with this one, and I'm using also actually two variegating flosses, the Sulky, a blue one and a brown one. So yay, really liking this and hope to get this one done again. Kind of soon in the year. We'll see about that. The next piece was a total impulse buy, impulse start. I bought and started this one within probably like 2 or 3 days, which is definitely not very typical for me. But I was scrolling with my daughter and she was just like, oh, I like this. This is cute. Can you make that for me? And I was like, yes, sure, I will. And the chart I'm talking about is a Leopard by, what's the artist called? George Wildlife Art, and it's charted by Pain-Free Crafts. Actually, my first Pain-Free Crafts chart. So far, I like it. But it is insane confetti, which I don't think is the fault of Pain-Free Crafts. It's just the nature of things. It is fur. Whenever you see in the stitching groups somebody showing a fur piece, they do mention the confetti. And then also they mention how worth it is and how awesome it looks after. So we're just going to go with that. This is actually the only one I didn't take out of its contraption, but I figured you're going to see it quite well anyways. Because I'm only done this little corner and oh man, I really, really want to pick this up. This is one that kind of just keeps staring at me because it's always out on the scroll frame. So I see it a lot and yeah, I'm just not picking it up. So I hope I get a a drive to stitch on this again, because yeah, I did good progress on this. So where are we here? The project is at 4.5%. It's not that huge. It only has like 81,000 stitches in it. So yeah, so what I did already put me at 4.5%, which is 3,644 stitches, which a lot of those I did during the Bake Off challenge as well. I started this piece just before that, or actually, yeah, right as I started it, and I had one spot available anyways. So yes, and it was attached to a good baker, so it saw quite a bit of progress. I'm stitching this also on 25 count 1/1 full cross because I was terrified of the confetti. I tried parking on this, but there's no trace of it anymore. I just didn't get along, so I'm just stitching page by page, as you can see. I like to set my own page sizes. It has nothing to do with the Painkery Crafts pages. And yeah, liking this, but not picking it up enough. But I feel like I'm at a number of projects where I'm already feeling like not every project is getting the time it deserves. And I definitely like them. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what decides in the end which one I pick up. The newest, most shiniest, definitely lately has been my kind of stitching bug drive. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, the next one is a new start, a very recent new start actually, and that is called Yin and Yang, a river scene. It's from that same Etsy shop called Puck's Closet, and it is a round full coverage, which I didn't change too much with. I basically only took out the background here. So I'm not stitching this background because, I mean, this printout isn't too great, but there was just a ton of checkerboard and very flat color. So I figured I'd just get myself a fabric that has a similar texture in it already, and then I don't need to stitch that background. And here is where we're at. So this is Yin and Yang, a river scene. I started it, when did I start it? On November 15th, 2025. And I put in 2,923 stitches, which means I'm sitting at 3.3%. Because the total amount is also 89,000. I seem to have a few of those that only have like 89,000 stitches in it, like around that, which is a nice size. You definitely have a chance of finishing that in your lifetime. But yeah, not only did I pick a fabric that had this background already, and I think you can kind of see it here. This is a Zweigart fabric. When I purchased this and started this, I showed the number. I think it was 1079, if I'm not lying now. I keep forgetting the name though, but I did dye this because since it is a round project, I figured you'd be seeing some fabric coming through when you frame it, and I wanted the rest of the surrounding area to be dark. So I did this kind of Japanese batik style dyeing. And I'm really, really happy with mainly the color that came out. Probably most of this cool folding texture here will be covered by the stitching, but that was intended. But we'll see. I'm really curious how it'll look in the end, but I'm excited. I'm excited by this fabric. I'm also excited by the offcut I'll get here and then see what I can put down there. This is a 25 count and I'm stitching 1/1 full cross, but with CXC because I wanted to see the coverage, and it is, as expected, fuller than the DMC is, but it is really nice. And this is quite confetti heavy, not crazy, but not very blocky either, as you can see. And it isn't too thick, as I find, at least right now. So yes, definitely like this piece, and I did pick it up quite a bit in December. The next one is actually another one that is quite old. I started this in 24 as well, and I started this on August 26th in 2024. and I was just not drawn to it at all. It actually saw recently quite some progress, which is not even going to be in my numbers right now. So this is probably the one that will be most off with my numbers. But anyways, the project I'm talking about is my Woodland Santa tree skirt, which is originally a Dimensions kit, but the kit wasn't in print anymore when I became aware of it, so I just got an online chart of it and kitted it up myself. And this is what it'll look like in the end. And I can also put in an image of what it looked like in the beginning of the year. I started at 2.08% and I added 2,570 stitches in 2025, but I think there is around 1,500 more stitches on here, which I just recently did. So I'm very excited actually where this one is now. Oh, look at that. I think the real progress of the number I just told you is probably everything without the snow, what's that animal called? Jesus, polar bear. Without the polar bear. And this tree here, kind of imagine this gone. Then it's probably the progress I had around the end of the year. But this came up in my Milestone Manor game, and I'm actually still working on completing all the stitches there. So yes, this has seen some progress recently, and I'm very, very happy about it. This is 14 count Ada, Navy Ada. And this is mainly kitted up with CXC, but there's also some DMCs in there. So yes, and I'm doing all the typical dimensions, 4 strands, 10, 3 strands, full cross. There's going to be a ton of backstitch, like the bunny is fully backstitched. And the fox is fully cross-stitched. The deer still needs a few cross stitches, but I need to kind of fill in the snow around them before I'll do the backstitch. But yes, really happy. The background is done. They're just 10 stitches, all the things that are kind of in the back of the piece. They're all just done with 10 stitch, and there's no backstitch in that, so yay. Still lots to go though, so this is at 17% now. This has a total stitch count of 24,000, so not too big, but yeah, it is quite tedious. And that stitch count is actually, oh yeah, I haven't really mentioned that, like all my stitch counts were kind of ignoring if you're like tent or full cross, but this one isn't. This one is counting 10 stitches or half crosses as a half stitch, so there is quite a few more 10 stitches in this one than the 24,000. Alludes to. But yeah, I do actually enjoy working on this now. Like this being pulled by the Milestone Manor game is actually a good thing because I realize I actually enjoy stitching on it too. I just never really pulled it out. I wanted to have it done for the past Christmas, but clearly that didn't happen because a ton of other projects happened instead. The next project is also a new start. I started this one in August 26th. Oh, no, hang on. That was a Woodland Santa tree skirt. I started this one March 8th, 2025. And this is the second one I am stitching out of a series from the Witchy Stitcher called the Nostalgic Tarot. And I already stitched the Fool, which is actually one of my finishes this year. And now I'm stitching on the Hanged Man. I did a color conversion with these ones. Not too much changing things around, but basically her text areas were pink and I changed them to blue, and I also changed a few of the features to more blue rather than pink. And here's where I'm at. Whoop, there you can focus, and I'm sitting at 49.1%. I've added 2,260 stitches. And this is stitched on 40 count, 1/2 full cross. And this is also kind of a stash conversion to her thread list. I use a lot of Anchor in here, but also CXC, probably DMC as well. I don't know. And yeah, Really liking this. Have not finished the first card. I will hold it in the camera once that happened. But still looking the same way as it did when I showed it in my mid-year WIP Parade. The next project, yeah, man, I feel bad with this one. You should not do gift stitching, let me tell you. So the next project is called A Bird's Summer, and it is a Luca S kit, and I do like it. Like, this is what it will look like. I really like the look of it. I also like the colors of it, but I'm just not drawn to it. I don't seem to pick it up. I really hope that the Milestone Manor game will help me with this one as well, because I'm stitching this one for my mother-in-law. And it will be so nice once it's done. And I was thinking of trying to put a deadline on this, but I'll want to wait and see how the Milestone Manor will deal with me and this piece. And then I have to reconvene and see. So I started this one. Let me tell you the stats first. I started this one March 16th, which is my mother-in-law's birthday. It was also a kind of spur of the moment start because I bought this as a kit and I only had the paper chart, and there's a ton of like backstitch and things in there. So I was a little bit terrified of doing this just off a paper chart, but then a lovely viewer actually sent me the saga file for this. I use CrossStitch Saga for all my videos. And that happened that day, that exact birthday of my mother-in-law. And I was just like, oh, I should start this now. But yeah, I'm just not stitching on it. Look at it. This is where I'm at. And it should really be way further. This really isn't that big of a project to begin with. How big is this? This has 12,360 stitches in it. The full piece. And I stitched 1,521. Really not that much. Like, seriously, that would not even be a full Milestone Manor session. So I really hope this one gets pulled. This is even in focus. I feel like my product mode on my camera is off. So I need to cover my face now when I'm showing things. Okay, but now you've seen it. I don't know, it looks nice, but yeah, I'm just not drawn to it. I don't know. I'm using all the kit materials. This is, I think, an 18 count Ida that came with it. Here, it's not that big, really. I should just stitch it and be done with it. And gift it to my mother-in-law, maybe for Christmas. We're going there for Christmas next year. That would be a good goal, to have that as a Christmas gift for her. Maybe I can get that done. Anyways, the next one I'm way more excited about than the Bird Summer. This is my latest start, actually, and it's not the last one on the list, so that should tell you something. I only started this to December 21st, this past December, and I already am at 1.3%. This is a Gecko Rouge chart, and I'll put in the image. I don't have a printout here of what it'll look like in the end. It's called Snowman Cottage, and I got this off their Patreon, which is why I don't have the full kit, and I kitted it up myself. And I actually also dyed a fabric for it for myself. I purchased an opalescent Zweigart fabric, 25 count, white Rouge it's called, and then I dyed it with ice and blue and red. And I came up with this lovely fabric, and I'm so happy. I think it turned out so great. I wanted a subtle blue snowy texture, which will look like sparkling snow in the sun, just like we had today, and I think I succeeded, and this is where I'm at. So, as you would have seen in the full image, there is some big snow fields in the background, and I decided to not stitch the snow. So I'm just going to be stitching the dividing lines and then just leave the fabric show through, get the nice sparkle of the snow going. And you can already see the first chimney of the house come through, and this is also artwork, or I haven't even told you anything. This is also artwork by Kate Brazier, which you probably could tell by the same flower texture happening at the bottom, but since I'm already stitching at the flowers in my pumpkin spice cottage, I figured I start at the top, and also to kind of see if my plan with the snowfields is working out well here. And I think it does. Yeah, I'm stitching this 1/1 full cross with DMC because it's actually using a lot of similar colors as my pumpkin spice cottage, and I'll have a lot of leftovers from that kit, so that is nice. I'm just stealing threads from there and then purchased a few that I didn't already have. But yeah, as I said, I'm at 1.3%. I added 1,133 stitches to this piece, and I really like it. But I did put it down since last time you've seen this. Since last time you've seen this, if you've been with me before, it actually has not seen any more progress. So I did switch out my progress, as you could see, to my Woodland Santa. And I also stitched a little bit on the pumpkin spice, but not too much actually. That was worth mentioning. But no, I did anyways. Okay, we have 2 more projects, and they're both new starts from this year. And the one I started October 21st, and it is the Blueberry J patterns. Another one where I don't have the image printed out yet, so I'll just pop it in here. The designer is Jessica Doisy, or Jet X Stitch as she's known here on YouTube, and she's just really cool with colors, and she does sampler type designs, and I just really couldn't pass that one up. She has another one, something magpie, which I'm also quite tempted to, but I'm definitely gonna stitch this one first and then see how I feel and if I wanna stitch the other one. I am stitching basically as called for, but she's stitching on 40 count, and I only was able to get a 46 count. So that's what I got. And this is a 46 count malachite from Fiber on a Whim, which is way too big for the piece. So that's why I just started in this itty bitty corner here. And this is where I'm at. Again, I took her colors as suggested because that is what drew me to the chart in the first place. I didn't want to tinker around with it too much. I did sub a little bit with stash colors from Anchor if it was very close. But I think all that you see here is actually what she just suggests. And you do see 925 stitches. 1/2 full cross on the 46 count. So it's tiny and beautiful, and I love it. But it is a daytime project. One of those daytime projects that you really just need very good lighting for. Yay! Okay, next one. Last one is also a December start, but I started this one on December 3rd together with Steph from Wild Fox Stitchery. And this one is called The Fool, and I'm gonna have to put in another image because I don't have a print out. And the artist is Yuriko Shiro, and it is charted by Thread Geeks. I got this one off of their latest sale at the end of last year because they were retiring their artists. And yeah, I just grabbed this because I really like the artwork, even though it is very different to most of my pieces. There's not a single thread of blue going to be in this project. And I decided to start with the black, and I'm gonna try, always on my podcast, I forget the term. Is it crazy cross country? No. There's some cross country. Intense? No, it's all wrong. Whatever. You know, you probably are screaming at your screen the word that I'm supposed to say. But I'm going to stitch all the black first because they are fairly connected. I think it's going to be fairly easy to stitch all the black without being at crazy risk of miscounting. And I think most of the next colors kind of just work off the black. So I think that's the way I'm going to go with this piece, because I like the look of that from other people that I can see. But yeah, I'll probably have to get used to moving my hoop a little bit more. But this is where I am. I've actually just put in one session of 526 stitches, which was a good start. I'm stitching this 1/1 full cross, I think. Yes, 25 count. Am I using CXC or DMC? I think this is DMC. Yes. And yeah, really hope to get some more progress. This one definitely fell victim to my Snowman Cottage start. I was just crazy distracted after this by my Snowman Cottage, really. And that's why I haven't stitched any more on this. But yeah, this is at 0.4% right now out of 134,000 stitches. And yeah, that is all my WIPs that I wanted to show you, or that's all the WIPs I have. And yeah, I hope you liked my projects. I certainly love them. And I'm planning on continuing my cross-stitch journey in the year 2026. If you do decide to follow me, you can expect at least one video a month. That's what I'm aiming for, but sometimes life just happens. I was trying to post more during December, which, I mean, I added, I think, 1 or 2 more videos, but then I just reached my limit and the Christmas craze just took over. So I apologize for that if you were hoping for another videos. The ideas didn't go anywhere, but the time did. So yeah, I do have, I think I hope to film next week a normal update for you guys where you will hear a lot about Milestone Manor, just a pre-warning, because I've gone totally down the rabbit hole of Milestone Manor. I'll definitely be playing that game in the coming year. We'll see how long, but I've spent quite a bit of time adding to the game and changing it a little bit to what I want. And yeah, I'll tell you all about it in my next update. And other than that, I usually ask for a little emoji at the end of my videos. And how about a snowflake, because it's so nice and wintry out right now. I wish I could show you. Maybe I'll add a little clip at my end of video. Because yeah, I usually show like some flowers from our garden, and I never change that last clip, you know, that you see when the outro is rolling out. Maybe I can change that to some winter video that I took today, actually. So yes, enjoy a very short clip of our garden. Bye bye, thank you for watching.